Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, where we have conversations about education, leadership, and building a school of excellence. The goal on this show is to bring you clarity, up-level your mindset, and give you practical strategies and inspiration so you can show up with confidence and trust your decision-making. I'm Chani Wilshansky. I'm a mom of 4 under 10, a former New Yorker, and been in the early childhood field my entire life. And I'm so grateful that you've joined me for this conversation. Hey there. Sometimes we need an extra reminder for something. Even though we've heard it once or twice, listening to it again just creates a new level of awareness that maybe we didn't have before. Today's episode is a Reair of the Break the Cycle series that the Schools of Excellence podcast launched a couple months ago. This episode is Break the Cycle of Excuses with Personal Accountability. The reason I decided to re-air this is because I've been getting so many questions from leaders around how to really stop the cycle of excuses, because it's very difficult to understand the difference between an excuse versus legitimate reason around why someone can't do something, whether that's for physical reasons, mental health reasons, capacity, bandwidth, skill set, maturity level, emotional regulation. There's so many reasons why someone can't do something specifically or why they're struggling with accountability. And I think the more that we can educate ourselves in understanding how to break the cycle of excuses and lead with empathy and accountability, the better leaders we can really become. The other reason is just understanding that creating a culture of accountability, creating a culture where people really level up and take personal responsibility for their actions, for how they're showing up, for their thoughts, for their own emotions. This is the premise of everything that we're doing at the Summit of Excellence, which is our in-person live event. It's happening in just a couple of weeks, March 1st and 2nd, 2022. And if you're a school leader and you're listening to this, I want you to really think about the culture that you want to create in your center, the infrastructure that you're looking at designing. And it comes down to ensuring that your people can lead with personal responsibility, own their own development, and let go of these excuses. So I hope you enjoyed today's Reair. It's a throwback episode. I want you to look at it from the new person that you are today versus a few months ago, this new fresh perspective, this new lens, and hop on over to social after you listen and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your new inspiration or just a new awareness that you have after listening to this episode again. Thanks so much for joining. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Schools of Excellence podcast. This is our third episode in the series of Break the Cycles. So we started the first episode with breaking the cycle of stress and overwhelm and burnout inside of your center. So if you haven't listened to that first episode, definitely go back and check that out. Last week's episode was all about breaking the cycle of dependency and creating a culture of delegation. And today we're talking about breaking the cycle of excuses and creating personal responsibility. So excuses are probably one of the biggest pet peeves of school leaders because they don't want to hear an excuse. They just want to know when it's going to get done or how it's going to get done or how we're going to make sure that this mistake doesn't repeat itself again. And when we exert a lot of effort and time on making excuses for things, we lose out on a lot of time to focus on solutions, to focus on what's next, creative energy, all of that kind of stuff. We just live in a very low vibration of energy, like everything's just this, that. So an excuse in its definition is finding justification or reasons for why something or someone didn't happen. Okay, so an excuse is finding justification for reasons for why something did or didn't happen. My husband taught in a Talmudic college for many years in New York, for 9 years actually. And I actually taught in a local college in Brooklyn, teaching college. And my husband and I used to sometimes talk about the quality of the excuses that our students would bring for why they came late to class. And so college students, so we're looking at, 19, 20, 21-year-old students. So I taught an only girls college, and my husband taught an only boys college. Very interesting to kind of hear the types of excuses. So I always, whenever I think of excuses, I always think about this one story that my husband told a particular boy. So my husband was the vice principal of the college, and there was about 250 boys, and he was responsible to take attendance every morning with all the boys. So he obviously within the first couple weeks knew everyone by face, by name, so he could just take quick attendance and not have to, call out 250 names. He just walks around the study hall and was able to immediately see, who was here, who was not here. So there was one particular boy who wasn't there one morning, and he came to school at 10 o'clock instead of 7:30. So my husband comes over to him after the class, and he's like, hey, what's up? Where were you this morning? So he's like, oh, Mayor, you don't understand. This morning I woke up and I had all the intention to come to school on time. But when I came to the top of the stairs, there was no stairs. And my husband's like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, yeah, my parents are doing construction in the house, and they forgot that I wasn't sleeping in the dorm that night. I slept at home, and they kept calling, is anyone upstairs? Is anyone upstairs? And I didn't hear them. And the construction crew took down the stairs. So I had no way to get downstairs. I had to wait until they found a ladder tall enough to get me down the stairs. If you're listening to this and laughing, my husband actually had to listen to that story, and it's mind boggling. But here's the thing, like, was it legit? Sure, there were no stairs. My husband actually called his good friends with his father, and he called him up and he's like, hey, and he's like, yeah, this really happened. Like, my son was really trapped on the second floor with no way to get down. And so we look at it, we're like, okay, that's a crazy excuse, but it's still this like legit reason why he didn't come to school, right? Why he didn't come to school on time, at least. So whether or not it's an excusable or whatever it is, right? My husband has heard things like, I was stuck behind the garbage truck, I was stuck on Tangy Taffy. I mean, we've heard every type of excuse. And I think what's interesting is I remember talking once to a student of mine who always had a barrage of excuses of why she came late. 3 minutes late, 5 minutes late, 7 minutes late. And one time I said to her, I sat her down after class and I was like, listen, you're going to want a job in one of the local preschools here, right? You live here, you're going to want a job here. The director of whatever school you're going to work in is going to call me. I know all the directors here. One of them is going to call me and ask me about you because you don't have any previous work experience. You're 19, you're in college now. Your previous work experience consists of running a summer camp. That's not experience in a school. What do you want me to tell her when she says, how is her attendance? How is her punctuality? She's going to ask me that question. You see, excuses is a reason that's given to justify an offense or a fault. But really, the primary purpose of an excuse is to lessen responsibility by getting you to overlook or excuse or even forgive off of the back of that excuse. Like, let me give this excuse that'll lessen the responsibility on me. People often get reasons and excuses mixed up because many times there appears to be a crossover between the two of them. Excuses allow people to remain in their uncomfortable comfort zone. Excuses allow people to dodge conflict by avoiding honesty, both with others and themselves. Excuses allow people to dodge accountability and cast themselves in a better light. The classic excuse, the oldest excuse in the books, right? The dog ate my homework. What is that? It gives the impression that you're the victim of a misfortune. And so it avoids the difficult conversation and the conflict of, I just couldn't be arsed to do my homework, or I forgot. Because those two things make you look lazy and incompetent and lacking in conscientiousness. And I don't want to be perceived like that. So I'm just going to give some lame excuse of, the dog ate my homework. So let me repeat that list again, because I think it's important to hear it. Excuses allow people to remain in their uncomfortable comfort zone. Excuses allow people to dodge conflict by avoiding honesty. Excuses allow people to dodge accountability and cast themselves into a better light. So here's what this really sounds like, right? When someone gives you an excuse for whatever thing, here's what they're really saying. Look, can you just hurry the F up and get off my case so I can get my ego stroke, soldier to lean on, money, perfect image back that I have of myself? Because, you perceiving me as wrong or hurting or whatever is setting off my responsibility alarms, which is setting off my reality alarm bells, which is setting off my commitment and my expectation alarm bells. So the sooner I'm able for you to excuse my excuse, the sooner I can get back to doing what I've always been doing. That is what an excuse really means. It's just get off my case so I can get the image that I have of myself back, because by you holding me accountable, now I need to be responsible. Now I need to step back into reality. Now I need to actually make commitments. And yeah, I just want to get back to what I've always been doing. Some other kind of interpretations of excuses is like, hey, can you just hurry up and get off my back, because I'm only offering up this feeble justification for what I've said or done or failed to do or whatever, because the real reason of why I didn't do it, it doesn't sound too great. And when I say it out loud, it's actually going to invite conflict. Plus, if I gave you the real reason, it would put me in a position that I actually have to do something about it. So I'm going to give you this excuse, and you just reduce the expectations of me and this relationship like immediately. Just sit with that. Those are the two internal dialogues that are happening within split seconds when someone gives you an excuse. And I think that's why it triggers leaders in such a way, because the person's saying, I just don't want to have to do something about this. I don't want to have to lean into the discomfort and the conflict that me telling the truth is going to give you. And sometimes when they give an excuse, it's kind of like, you and I know what really happened here, but if you want to go along with the charade that I'm playing, I'm going to give you an excuse and I'm going to see how much more of a free ride I can get from you. And then it continues because we make excuses for their excuses. Oh, this is so painful. I've done this. Leaders do this. You've done this. This is hard. We make excuses for their excuses. We start saying, oh, okay, they're really the best thing that's ever happened. Or, it's just been a short time that they've been doing that. Or you tell yourself, I can't let go of the fantasy of like what is working here, because if I actually hold them accountable, then I have to see and accept the uncomfortable things that I've been tolerating. And I need to get out of my comfort zone and I need to make changes. And so we make excuses for them because we're just not in the mood of looking for a solution or taking action that would involve making decisions and leaving our own comfort zones. It's really difficult to hold someone accountable when you say, no, I'm not tolerating that anymore, because that might mean you have to let the person go. That might mean that you have to have a difficult conversation now. That might mean that you needed to sit down with this person and really lean in and embrace the suck. That might mean you have to call a parent and say, your child can no longer be in our center. And that sucks. So we make excuses for the excuses. Are you looking for an in-person event to come together with other school leaders in person after the crazy few years that this has been? It's time to get together. And so I want to share with you information about the Summit of Excellence in Florida. At the Live Summit of Excellence, we're going to be addressing issues of conflict, emotional intelligence, resilience, discernment, creating boundaries, regulating the emotions of our staff, and the challenges of interpersonal relationships and work. I say this all the time. What breaks businesses is not operations, financials, or systems. What breaks businesses is people. Every interaction with staff, children, and families has the opportunity to create connection and reframe negative feelings around conflict, or drive a bigger wedge between everyone involved. You see, conflict is a big part of any healthy relationship. When two people come together every day, every week, every month, there are going to be moments of conflict. It's part of being human. And you're not going to always have the same perspective as the other person. And so it's really imperative to learn the skills necessary to make conflict constructive, collaborative, and an opportunity for connection. So this year we are making this part of our hallmark and theme for this year's event, because at the crux of your center, this is what's going to bring your school to that next level. When you and your team have the right skills and practice them regularly, consistently, everyone's able to contribute to a culture where conflict is accepted, managed, and used as a catalyst for growth, as well as a springboard for a culture of contribution. You see, staff need to understand how to build personal ownership and have scripts and tools to advocate for themselves. You want to build a team of leaders who adopt the practices of conflict management with self-awareness and emotional intelligence and understand how to create that positive impact on the entire organization. And so if you're interested in joining us at the Summit of Excellence, I encourage you to check out the link in the show notes, schoolsofexcellence.com/summit for more information. This event is capped at 100 people. This is a curated, incredible, high-star, 5-quality experience, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you and your teams. The hard part with excuses in these relationships is what they're saying is like, I don't have time, energy, effort to do the things that I need to do. Well, if they don't have the time, energy, and effort, then what happens next? You see, personal responsibility, being responsible, means a lot more than just doing what others tell you to do. It means taking a stand for what you believe in. It means doing the right thing even when the right thing is hard or unpopular. It means respecting other people and yourself enough to be honest, fair, compassionate, and courageous. Excuses permeate through an organization where people are afraid to ask for help. There's no way that everyone can know how to do everything. It's impossible. You're not God. You have human limits. Please stop believing that you are supposed to know how to do something right the first time, or you should know how to do it before you even do it the first time. It is so wrong. We need to remove this from our cultures. It needs to be cut off at the knees. I one time had a conversation with a teacher. She's a newer teacher, and she's like, "Well, I need to know how to manage the classroom." And I'm like, "You're going to learn through trial and error. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect the first time around. You're not going to get every single part of the transition right, nor do I expect you to. It's your first time." She's like, "But I have to." I said, "Why? Why do you have to get it right the first time? Why?" I think it's a little arrogant to believe that you should know how to do something right the first time in every single area. What happened to leaning into the humility of saying, I don't know? So here are some questions to ask yourself if you're creating a culture of excuses subconsciously. Did you fail at a task and convinced yourself that there was nothing you could have done to avoid it? Does your team over explain things? You know, when someone pointed out that there could have been a better way, do they over explain why they chose that way? Right? Here are some personal examples, right? Do we skip the last 2 days of the gym because you did amazing in the first week and now you want to celebrate by chilling for a day or two or more? Do you spend most of your time giving justifications rather than leaning in and learning? So, why is it so important to break the cycle of excuses? Why is this something that I'm taking the time to record a podcast episode? You're taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. What happens is in this cycle of excuses is it becomes normal to tolerate this load of BS. And we normalize behavior and work ethic that is completely against our values, our morals, and ethics. And we lose ourselves in the process. And then we're not happy. And we've forgotten why we started what we did. You see, everyone makes excuses. We've all made excuses. We're all going to continue to make excuses. It's not about eliminating, it's about learning how to break the cycle. We make excuses for self-preservation. It's to protect our self-esteem and our wounded ego. You know, sometimes we say, I'm too busy to reply to that email, when really, we just couldn't be bothered to deal with it. I remember one time when I lived in New York, I was walking down the street and I bumped into the class mother of one of my kids' classes. And she's like, "Oh, hey, Connie, did you see that email that I sent about," I don't remember what event was coming up. And before I had a chance to reply, she was kind of like, "Oh, I know you're so busy." It was like this pre-defense tactic of like, please don't tell me that you just ignored me or you just couldn't be bothered. I very gently replied and I said, "Yes, I did see your email. And my calendar right now is full of big priorities. And responding to these emails and participating in these class functions is not a priority for me in this season. I understand that you need volunteers and you really need support. I cannot be that mother in this season." I think I remember when I said that, I was just really starting to learn how to practice those boundaries. I remember having a terrible stomach ache the rest of the way home and being really nauseous. I think when we put up those boundaries, when we don't give an excuse for why we didn't reply to the email, I could have said, yeah, I was busy, but that wasn't the real reason. That was an excuse. The reason I didn't reply to the email was because this is not a priority. My calendar was full and I was not in a season that I could participate and volunteer in my kids' classes. And when I said the truth, it made me sick. It was like, oh my gosh, like I just said the truth. I just leaned into the vulnerability of saying why I didn't do it. I think we're afraid we're going to hurt other people, right? I was afraid that I was going to hurt her feelings. But really, why is saying that hurting her feelings? I think she's a wonderful person. I'm just not the volunteer mama. And now I started communicating that to the class moms in the beginning of the year when they reach out. And I say, listen, participating in extracurricular things for my kids' classes is not a priority of mine. My kids' emotional well-being in the classroom is important. I carve out time and make sure I could talk to my kids' teachers. I want to get to know my kids' friends. I host play dates. I have them over for weekends. That is how I get involved in my kids' school and social life. Participating and volunteering in the classroom is not something that I will ever say yes to. So I let the people know in advance, like, don't lean on me. Don't even ask me, because the answer is always going to be no. And the answer isn't no because I'm busy. The answer is no because it's not a priority for me. It's not a priority for me to fill my calendar with coming into the kids' classrooms to volunteer and do that kind of stuff. And I think that takes relentless self-awareness of saying, how do I want to be involved in my child's life? How do I want to be involved in my child's school life? What are the things I want to say yes to? I want to say yes to showing up for curriculum night. I want to say yes to showing up to parent conferences. I want to say yes to helping them with their homework. I want to say yes to knowing the programs that they're being a part of, or the productions that they want to go to, or the practices. I want to be able to drive them there. I want to be able to listen to how it was. I want to be able to talk to their teachers. I want to be able to know how they're evolving and growing. And that's it. And I think when we understand how to put the boundary, we stop giving excuses. We stop saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I was so busy. Reach out to me for the next program. Or maybe you could just say, please don't reach out to me. I'm not going to be that parent. I don't like volunteering. I don't like going on class trips. It's almost like we're afraid to be perceived as like a capital B. Why is it a capital B if you don't enjoy field trips? I don't like going on field trips. I don't like going on buses. I get car sick. In general, I get car sick when I drive. Only when I'm driving do I not get nauseous. When I sit in the passenger seat, I can get dizzy. I don't enjoy going on class trips. And it's almost like we're afraid we're judging and shaming ourselves, like, oh, how could you not like volunteering and going on class trips and making food for the bake sale? You should be ashamed of yourself. No, there are so many other ways to be a great mom. There are many ways to be an exceptional school leader. There are many ways to be a great teacher. There are many ways to be a phenomenal school director. The honesty and the boundaries that you create help you eliminate excuses. So that's one of the first ways to break the cycle of excuses. Be aware of your boundaries. Second reason, individual advocacy. Know how to ask for help. Right? Everyone's going to get stuck. No one knows how to do everything. But being stuck is not a reason to fail the project. Being stuck is an opportunity to practice advocacy, to ask for what you need. So that's my second tip of how to break the cycle of excuses. Learn how to advocate for yourself. Learn the skill of teaching advocacy to your staff. These two skills of boundaries, individual advocacy, are actually unique skills that we're going to be teaching at the Summit of Excellence this year, March 1st and 2nd here in Florida. We still have early bird tickets going on right now. And if you're interested in coming to an in-person event for school owners and directors, then I would love for you to email us at cw@khani.me or send me a message in Facebook. The tickets and all the details are not public because it is a private, limited event. And so that's why you need to just personally reach out and we'll follow up with some more information. And the third tip for breaking the cycle of excuses is leaning into difficult conversations. Understanding that it's okay to be awkward and uncomfortable. when you have these conversations, but you have to have them. We have entire templates and worksheets and workbooks on scripts of how to lead difficult conversations. We have those links in the show notes. You could check those out as well. Leaning in to the difficult conversation is such a powerful way to break the cycle of excuses and lean into more personal responsibility. So, what I want to leave you with is this today on this episode: lean into your personal boundaries, recognize what they are. What is one boundary that you can put in place that would help you stop giving excuses for other things? What is a boundary you can put in place that could get you to stop saying the excuse, I don't have time? I don't have time is an excuse. It's an excuse. Come join us in our free Facebook group where we continue the conversation. And thanks so much for joining me for this amazing series on Break the Cycles. Do you ever feel like sometimes that you're like the mother hen for your center and you need to show people what to do and show them how to do it and walk them through each step of the way? This is normal. And we want to shift that to really empower team to embrace what I call the bridge method, which are the 6 very specific skills that staff and leadership team need to be consistently trained, coached, and mentored on to be able to up level to truly sustain excellence in their organization. And the bridge is an acronym for boundaries, creating really great interpersonal and personal boundaries; relational intelligence, understanding how to have conversation with parents, with other key stakeholders, with one another, and lean into those difficult conversations; individual advocacy, being able to say what you want and knowing what you want and being able to clearly articulate what you want and not expecting the owner or the leader to anticipate every single one of your needs; discernment, being able to understand and discern, when do I need to come to the owner for this and when do I need to have the permission to just do this on my own; generosity, not leading from a place of a zero-sum game, but showing up from a place of generosity and benevolence for the team; and lastly, emotional regulation, understanding how to regulate our emotions before we go into conversation or while we're in conversation with other people. And so the bridge method is what I'm going to be teaching at the Summit of Excellence live and in person in Florida, along with some other amazing speakers like Vernon Mason and Beth Cannon and Kathy Petchel and Scott Wieman. These people are going to be coming here to support, to create and deliver incredible content. And we're looking forward to greeting all of our guests that are going to be joining us in the Lakeside Terrace on March 1st and 2nd. If you're interested in signing up and registering for this incredible experience, and I hope you do check it out if it's a right fit for you, go check out schoolsofexcellence.com/summit or click the link in the show notes. If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do 2 things for me. 1, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And 2, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week, and I appreciate that you have joined us.